Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. All right, we are potentially in the home stretch for what we've all been preparing for years, decades, however long you've been doing this. All the puzzle pieces are starting to come together, and it all revolves around the 2024 election. Okay. You go back to last week and the Rothschilds, that family, okay, publicly came out and said that if Donald Trump wins the 2024 election, globalism is dead, right? You've heard that. And you can be certain that the globalists are going to do anything and everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, we know about the media manipulating numbers, AI crowds, applause tracks at the convention this week. I mean, that was absolutely hilarious. Listening on the videos of, television, everybody screaming and yelling for comments that were made, and then the camera panned over the audience, and while all the screaming and yelling is going on, all the people are there with their hands in their pockets. That was kind of funny. But you're being manipulated. This is kind of going back to the PSYOP stuff. And it's all because something's coming. We need to remember that these people, these overlords, want feudalism. They want to live in their ivory tower, their kingdom, their castle, while the rest of us, the overwhelming 99.9% of the human population, is left groveling at their feet, trying to pick up scraps to go. That's their plan, okay? They know better. Barack Obama gave a speech years ago about how people weren't smart enough to make decisions for themselves and that the government needed to do it for us, okay? These are the type of people we're dealing with. Now, I want you to think about everything that's going into play here in the current situation. All right. We have the Rothschilds coming out. We have rumors all over the dark web, and I will again say these are rumors, okay? People can make stuff up all the time. Hell, climate change is a rumor, right? Nothing's ever happened. But we still have to pay attention to these kind of things enough. Rumors that the Chinese are going to have some sort of power grid attack that's going to put the U.S. in darkness for weeks on end. Okay, that's something, that's a veiled attempt at either a grid attack or an EMP. We have to pay attention to that, and that is rumored to happen sometime between the end of August, has been for a while now, between the end of August and the election. Okay? We have the Biden administration yesterday putting the military on alert for nuclear war, that supposedly China, North Korea, and Russia are working together to plot against us for full-blown nuclear war. Now, these are things they slip in, okay, to go there. You have the whole monkeypox deal, right? That, oh my God, we've got to protect ourselves from this. They're trying to bring back the COVID fears. I mean, this is all stuff that's going on now. And then to top it all off, you have the world's most well-funded terrorist organization, the World Economic Forum, just warning of as they put it, an era of shock events that is coming ahead of the 2024 election as the global elite prepare to unleash chaos into society, okay? In this dystopian article, the World Economic Forum warns people heading to the polls in November that we should be expecting destabilizing events, including a planned, intentional cyber pandemic, in other words, trying to take down the internet, okay? The emergence of a new extremist globalist group, I think we got enough. We really don't need a new one. I mean, what do we have? The World Economic Forum themselves, Antifa, look what's going on in Europe, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, they had to throw in their climate change disaster, as they put it. There's going to be a sudden sea level rise that's going to submerge an entire island somewhere in the world. I don't buy that one for a second, okay? But this is what you need to concern yourself with, because sometimes they say the quiet part out loud. You don't make comments like this. You don't do things like the Biden administration did unless there's a shred of truth behind it. And mark my words that they need the U.S. to fall. They need a Kamala Harris. The globalists need a Kamala Harris presidency, because Europe is practically fallen at this point. I mean, you've got France, Germany, England are collapsing. The big countries, more affluent, I guess, if you will. The smaller ones will fall by the wayside eventually, too. You look at Australia and New Zealand, they fell apart a couple of years ago. South America's falling apart. Asia's falling apart. I mean, you've got the last bastions of democracy in South Korea and Japan, and there's plans to make sure those end quickly, too. Canada's gone. Mexico's gone. The only place left on Earth that has freedom, if you will, is the United States. And our population is giving it away. Okay. I mean, we've got half the population that wants this crap. But so you look at what's going to happen. Well, if we go by what the World Economic Forum is predicting, okay, a new globalist extremist group, okay, we've got major wars going on all over the world. Political leadership is obviously in decline. We have, morons and soy boys running countries and making decisions, nobody who has a set to stand their ground, okay? This is a huge time for extremist groups to take over countries. Think I'm kidding? Look what's happened in England in the past 5 weeks. They had an election, they elected a group of leftists, and now they are letting murderers, rapists, burglars, arsonists, and what are out of prisons so they can put the mean tweeters in prison. Now, what's that all about? Oh, you think like us? Granted, you kill people, but that's okay. You don't have the thought crime, we'll put you in jail. You're an enemy. Okay, that's what's going on. Then you get a cyber pandemic. This is the second thing they're warning about, okay? And this will be some sort of massive IT outage, all right? You just think about what happened back in July with CrowdStrike, and all of a sudden you had airports and hospitals and banks and you name it, retail outlets or whatever. All of a sudden, everything came to a halt. And I've said this many times. You think about how reliant the world is on the internet. Everything works on the internet now, whether it's VoIP stuff or whether it's information sharing, moving documents, paying bills, etc. How does a business do its inventory? On the internet. How do you order stuff on the internet? How do you pay your bills on the internet? You shut down the internet and all of a sudden we go back to, clipboards and pieces of paper, writing checks in the mail. We have 2 generations of people that don't know how to write. I mean, literally cursive is completely foreign to them. It looks like it's Cyrillic. They can't read it. They can't write it. Okay. You get people who literally, I kid you not, adults who literally do not know how to write a check, okay? That's what's going on there. And then, of course, they get the climate change bullshit, which they've always got to throw in there for something because, hey, an island's going to be submerged. Maybe it'll tip over too, right, Hank Jensen? But this is what we need to prepare for right now. And we have a time frame. We have until November 5th, maybe the 6th or the 7th, depending on how long it takes states to count ballots in the middle of the night. But they're going to do something beforehand. It's not, so we're talking about October surprise. Whatever the October surprise is going to be this year is going to be inevitably devastating. I know, and anybody with a brain knows, there is not a whole lot of support out there for Kamala Harris. I don't care what the polls say, even though they've turned like 7% on the betting market here in the last few days, from her being up 4 to down 3. But polls don't mean much of anything. We all know that. This is the chaos that we need to prepare for. All right, what's going to happen? And this time of year, a lot of people are harvesting, processing foods, canning stuff, doing whatever. It might be a good time to order that pig, get it to the butcher, order that side of beef that you normally get. It might be a good time to hit the grocery stores and find whatever sales you can get. I mean, however you get your meats, however you get whatever, okay? Stocking up on salt, stocking up on sugar, flour, wheat berries, any of the basic essentials you're going to need. Now is a good time to get it, because if all of this happens, if there's a grid down, that means there's no electricity, no stores open. If there's an internet down, that means no stores open. There's nowhere to get it. And y'all know just as well as I do that within a couple of days of being no power, just like COVID was, the first few days, people are like, hey, cool, I got a long weekend, I get to stay home. And after a while, they start going stir crazy when they're told they can't leave their house. And then they go, well, crap, I ran out of food, I need to go to the store. I'm sorry, you can't, okay? If they bring in any sort of medical pandemic, if they put us on any sort of lockdowns because of monkeypox or the latest strain of COVID they make up, those are things coming too. If in the same time we have some sort of war, aggression, battle with Russia, China, North Korea, how long do you think it's till, the power's out, the internet's out, we've got a battle going on with them, we're going to start posting the military around in checkpoints, and we're going to have lockdowns. And you need to be prepared for wherever you are, whether it's your urban apartment, your suburban postage stamp lot, your country house, or your ranch out in the middle of Wyoming somewhere. You need to be prepared to never leave that property again. And this is what I've always said should be the goal for a prepper, is to make everything possible where you could never leave the confines of your property. We may be there in less than 3 months. Pinball out.